Hello everyone, just a very quick update on my view of the Australian property market. Well, I shouldn't be so upbeat actually, because the biggest event happening in the world at the moment is obviously happening in the Middle East. And the second biggest event in the world at the moment is obviously happening in Ukraine. And both are serious, serious tragedies. And then in the United States, you've got to feel a little bit for them, even though we have cyclones in Australia being hit by two really significant storms in such a short period of time across Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, and that region. And these are life-changing storms to the degree of their impact. So thoughts go there as well. But the situation in the Middle East is escalating, and it is sadly likely to escalate further. I can only see capital beginning to flee the area and going to locations like Australia eventually, not immediately. Immigration is likely, immigration pressures are likely to increase towards the Australian residential environment. So they're not reasons to be celebrating at all, but it does look as though the attractiveness of the Australian lifestyle and the geographical location of Australia. I mean, if you grab a globe and you turn it so Australia, do people still use globes? Or maybe they're, okay, in whatever world, intangible world you may be operating, I'm still operating in the old world. If you grab a globe of the Earth and you turn it and switch it so Australia's in the centre, it's nearly water all the way around. That's why Navy and Air Force is so important to us. Army too, of course, but it's a long way for anyone to come to Australia, is what I'm saying. But it does mean that Australia is a safe haven environment in many regards because of that. It has a stable, sophisticated political system, a good education system, a great health system. I saw something the other day. Someone wants, DNA screening for the entire population or something to help to halt the decline of our health industry. Well, our health industry may be in a little bit of decline in one or two states, but overall the health industry in Australia is probably among the highest standards in the world and most accessible for the general population. So we have a great health system. All of these things we take for granted, we Australians sort of sitting here, but they matter to people when they're overseas and when there are two major wars now raging. People keep saying, we hope it isn't an all-out war in the Middle East. Well, it's not far from it. So it's a significant war for very many people, sadly. The Australian dollar has also weakened significantly recently because of the China slowdown. And that slowdown in China, I'm not panicking about it. I just think it's returned to more sustainable, normal growth levels. So the Chinese economy will be growing between 2 and 5% for the next 10 to 30 years. Excuse me. And a lot of people are panicking about that because it's not growing at 8 or 12%. It's the world's second largest economy, and it's going to be growing at 2 to 5%. So it's going to be very, very strong indeed. Other domestic factors affecting the Australian property market at the moment are that the Reserve Bank of Australia will be cutting interest rates probably this year. I was the first. I noticed other places have started to pick that up. But I think we could have as many as 3 cuts now by April because the Australian economy is most definitely slowing. So it doesn't matter if the RBA knows it yet or not. The RBA will be cutting rates next. So no more rate hikes. No more rate hikes for the Australian property market, only rate cuts. And there are signs that the banks are becoming increasingly competitive and may be reducing mortgage rates all on their own in any case. So that's a very strong situation. I've spoken at length before about immigration. Immigration is a huge factor to the Australian economy and even more so to the Australian property market. Now, some governments have found it a way to prop up the GDP numbers to make it look like we're doing better than what we are, but the GDP per capita is not so shiny. That said, however, there has been this desire to increase Australia's immigration, which is now peaking, but may begin to rise further should these conflicts in the Northern Hemisphere deteriorate any further. So, strong immigration input that's already arrived has a 3 to 5 year sort of timeline in terms of these people about 20 to 30% of renters, 20 to 30% of buyers when they arrive. That leaves 70, 80% of people who over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, will move into the buying property market. And so it's a long lead time from the immigration through the Australian property market. So we're likely going to have a very close federal election in the year ahead. That could result in a Liberal Party win, so do factor that into your thinking. But I do believe that either party's success will end up with a still not strong Australian economy, but stable Australian economy, as long as there isn't a conflict closer to home, of course. Now, we've got interest rates stable to falling. We've got strong external demand by way of immigration, which could spike further. And we have some frustration, I think, in the young people in terms of reaching for their property. And again, I'd like to highlight, please do check out the propertyclub.com.au website, where it might be easier than you were thinking to actually get into at least an investment property, if not your own home. It can be more cost effective and more tax effective too, to a very large helping degree, to actually get an investment property first off the bat, even before you get your own home. Anyway, it's not personal advice. These are just ideas, but you should talk to people who know this inside out, and that's why I do suggest taking a look at propertyclub.com.au. If you're not already a member, and a lot of members will be watching this video, don't forget to tell your friends to take a look at propertyclub.com.au. It's a good gift to give to everyone. So overall, that's really all I have for you at the moment. I think property prices, as I said they would be, are a little bit different in different regions, in different suburbs, even within the same cities. And you need to pay attention to where is the demand. And you also need to be aware that the wealthier class of the society in Australia are still strong buyers of Australian property. They just keep building their portfolios. So that's a significant factor as well. Anyway, I hope this helps in some way, but do have a good week. All the best.